The moment our ship exploded, I thought I'd die alone in the void. But when I opened my eyes on that dead planet, I saw him, the alien I was trained to fear. I didn't know then that he'd save my life, or that I'd carry his child. When the alarm screamed through the Odyssey, it was already too late. The stars blurred into streaks of white as the ship tore apart, metal shrieking like a dying animal. Captain Lara Quinn didn't remember the impact, only the silence that followed. She woke to a sky the color of rust, air heavy with dust that stung her lungs. Around her, the remains of the ship jutted from the cracked ground like broken ribs. No movement, no voices. Only the wind. Her arm was bleeding. Her comm was dead. Her training told her to stay calm, assess damage, find survivors, but the silence pressed against her skull until she wanted to scream. Then something moved in the wreckage. A shadow, tall, fluid, too precise to be human. Lara's breath caught as it stepped into the light. A figure in torn exo-armor, skin faintly iridescent, eyes glowing amber through a cracked visor. "Stay back!" she snapped, hand instinctively reaching for her sidearm. The creature raised both hands, voice calm and oddly resonant. "I'm not your enemy, human," Lara froze. The voice was deep but clear, the accent unlike anything from her crew. Recognition hit Kale, a navigator from the Varan Confederation, a species humanity had barely made peace with. "What the hell are you doing here?" she demanded. "My vessel was caught in your gravity field. I crashed as well." His tone was almost apologetic. She wanted to blame him for the crash, the loss, the isolation. But the logic was undeniable. His suit was scorched, his weapon broken, his eyes tired. They were both survivors. "Fine," she muttered, lowering the gun. "We find supplies, water, shelter. You stay out of my way." Kyle tilted his head, something like amusement flickering in his expression. Humans, always issuing orders, even at the end of the world. Despite herself, Lara let out a dry laugh. "Someone has to." They worked in tense silence, scavenging what little was left. The planet's wind howled through twisted metal, carrying a low rumble that didn't sound like thunder. Kyle paused, gaze fixed on the horizon. "That sound," he said softly, "is not weather." The ground shuddered beneath them, once, then again, like something vast was waking beneath the sand. The tremor faded, leaving the air vibrating with unease. Dust settled on the wreck like a shroud. Lara steadied herself, scanning the cracked horizon. "Great," she muttered. "We landed on a planet that snores." Kyle didn't smile, but the faint twitch at the corner of his mouth looked suspiciously close. "That sound came from beneath the crust," he said, crouching beside a fragment of hull. "Something moves down there. Fantastic. Buried monsters. Just what my week needed. They salvaged what they could before nightfall. Thermal blankets, half-charged power cells, 2 ration packs that tasted like cardboard and regret." Kale dismantled part of a thruster core and repurposed it into a crude heater. Lara watched, impressed in spite of herself. "You always this handy?" she asked. "Or is this your version of showing off?" He looked up, eyes glinting gold in the dim light. "Survival demands improvisation. Pride is inefficient," she smirked. "You'd get along great with my old flight instructor." They set up camp inside the shell of the escape bay, the heater humming softly between them. Outside, the wind sang through metal bones, a lonely tune that made the silence almost bearable. Hours passed. Lara adjusted a splint on her wrist and winced. Kale noticed, reached out, then hesitated. "I can help," he offered. "My species has bioconductive energy. It accelerates healing." "Is that safe for humans?" she asked. "I don't know," he admitted. "Would you rather keep bleeding?" She sighed. "Oh, touché." Warmth spread from his fingertips, a subtle pulse that dulled the pain and quieted her nerves. For a moment she forgot where she was. The ruin, the distance from Earth, the empty sky. It felt human. When he pulled back, she flexed her hand experimentally. "That's incredible." Kale gave a modest nod. "Now you can continue issuing orders," Lara chuckled. "Careful. I might start thinking you have a sense of humor." For the first time, he almost smiled. The heater flickered, throwing shadows across their faces. The planet groaned again, somewhere far away, but neither of them moved. The silence between them had changed. It wasn't hostile anymore. It was the quiet of two people who realized they might actually make it through the night, together. The next morning broke in a haze of pale light and shifting dust. The planet felt alive, breathing, restless. Lara woke to find Kyle already outside, studying the ground with a small scanner patched together from ship fragments. "Tell me you found breakfast," she said. Rubbing the sleep from her eyes, Kyle didn't look up. "No food, but I did find movement. The ground here is unstable, like something tunnels beneath it," Lara frowned. "You mean animals?" He shook his head. "Not animals. Patterns too precise, mechanical." A low rumble interrupted them, deep and resonant, rolling underfoot like thunder trapped underground. The sand cracked open several meters away, releasing a sharp hiss of vapor. Kyle grabbed Lara's arm, pulling her back just as a metallic limb burst through the surface. The thing that emerged wasn't alive, but it moved with purpose. A machine half buried in sand, eyes glowing cobalt. It turned toward them, sensors whirring. "Run!" Lara shouted. They sprinted across the wreck field, dodging debris as the drone fired searing bolts of light that scorched the ground behind them. Gale shoved her behind a fragment of hull, returning fire with a salvaged plasma pistol. Sparks flew. The air reeked of ozone. "What the hell is that thing?" Lara gasped. "A guardian," Kyle answered, panting. "This world was part of a terraforming project eons ago. Looks like the machines never got the memo that their creators are gone. So they're still doing their job," she said, catching her breath. "Which means we're the contamination. They managed to disable the drone using Kyle's tech, but the victory felt hollow. The attack wasn't random, it was a warning. As night fell, they took shelter in a nearby canyon, nursing burns and bruises. Lara stared into the flickering light of their heater, the adrenaline finally wearing off. "I keep thinking this planet hates us," she murmured. Kyle's voice was quiet. "Perhaps it just remembers what was lost." For a moment neither spoke. The stars above looked sharp enough to cut, and beneath their silence the planet shifted again, slow, deliberate, as if listening. Lara met Kyle's gaze. "Then we'd better learn its language before it decides to bury us." They stayed in the canyon for 2 nights, long enough for the planet's storms to calm and for the silence to settle again. The heater buzzed softly while Lara tinkered with the damaged beacon, trying to boost its range. Gessel watched her from across the small fire, the blue glow reflecting in his amber eyes. "You're relentless," he said. "Comes with the job description," she replied, tightening a wire with her teeth. "If I stop moving, I start thinking. Thinking leads to panic." He tilted his head, curious. "Humans fight fear with noise. My kind fights it with silence." Lara smiled faintly. "Guess that explains why we're always shouting and you're always—" "Not." For the first time, Kyle laughed. A low, warm sound that echoed softly off the stone. It startled her. She hadn't realized how much she'd needed to hear it. That night, the temperature dropped sharply. The wind outside howled like a living thing, scraping dust across the canyon walls. Lara shivered under the thin blanket. Without a word, Kyle shifted closer and offered his thermal wrap. She hesitated, pride wrestling with practicality, then accepted. His arm brushed hers, warm, steady, grounding. "Your heartbeat," he said quietly. "It's fast. Probably because you're sitting way too close," she teased, though her voice lacked conviction. He smiled faintly. "Then perhaps I should move." "Don't!" she interrupted, surprising herself. They sat in silence for a while, the fire flickering between them. Outside, lightning crawled across the sky like veins of light. Lara glanced at him. "You ever think about what happens if we don't make it off this rock?" Kyle considered. "Then we leave something behind. Knowledge, connection. Maybe that's enough." The simplicity of his words hit her harder than any storm. She looked away, blinking against the heat rising in her chest. When their eyes met again, something unspoken passed between them. Recognition, maybe, or the fragile beginning of trust. He reached out, fingertips brushing the side of her face with cautious reverence. She didn't pull back. In the stillness, the planet seemed to hold its breath with them. For the first time since the crash, Lara didn't feel entirely alone. Morning came with a pale gold sky and a strange stillness. The planet, for once, seemed quiet, as if waiting. Lara was half asleep when the beacon crackled to life, sputtering static before a faint voice broke through. "This is Command Vessel Horizon. Receiving faint signal. Identify." Her heart stopped. "This is Captain Lara Quinn, Odyssey crew." "We're alive!" "I repeat, we're alive." Kyle stood beside her, shoulders tense. He looked almost afraid. The transmission cut briefly, then resumed with chilling precision. Signal confirmed. Coordinates locked. Alien biosignature detected. Proceeding with tactical protocol. Lara's joy drained into dread. "They think you're the threat." Kyle didn't answer. His gaze shifted toward the sky, where a distant glimmer grew brighter, the rescue ship descending fast. "You should go," he said quietly. "If they see me—" "Not a chance," she snapped. "I'm not letting them shoot the person who kept me alive." He turned to face her fully. "Lara, you owe me nothing." "I owe you everything," she said. "So if you're going down, I'm going down beside you." The roar of thrusters filled the air, kicking up a storm of dust. Lara stepped into the open, waving a flare while Kyle shielded his face. The ship hovered overhead, its weapons charging. "Command, hold your fire!" She shouted into the mic. "This being is not hostile. He's my partner in survival." "You fire on him, you fire on me." For a heartbeat, there was only static. Then the lights on the ship dimmed, and the weapons powered down. Relief hit her like a wave. She turned to Kyle. He was watching her, expression unreadable. "You risked your life," he said softly. "Guess your silence rubbed off on me," she replied with a small smile. Hours later, aboard the Horizon, Lara stared out the viewport as the planet shrank beneath them. Her body ached, her mind numb, but inside something felt different, a faint pulse beneath her ribs, warm and rhythmic. Not pain, not fear, life. Kyle approached, his hand brushing hers. No words, just quiet understanding. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, a bridge between two worlds that no longer felt so far apart. Lara exhaled, voice barely above a whisper. "Maybe the universe didn't crash us here to die. Maybe it wanted us to begin."